Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the AutoCAD FaceCast series. Today we're here to talk about AutoCAD LT. My name is Kate Moracle. I'm the AutoCAD LT Technical Marketing Manager, coming to you today live from my dining room in Silver Spring, Maryland. Hope you all are having a good Wednesday, and I think let's go ahead and get started. Oh, feel free to send in your questions through the chat tab on the FaceCast page, and if I'll get them sent to me as we go along and hopefully be able to answer a few of them here. All right. I'm going to switch over to my screen now to show you that we have here AutoCAD LT 2012. And I want to start by talking to you about a few of the new features that make it easier to just use the program in general. And the first thing that I want to talk about is the autocomplete command function. If you're a command line junkie like me, you probably like typing in keyboard shortcuts at the command line, so you type L for line. Well, in AutoCAD LT 2012, as soon as you type that L, you get a whole bunch of commands that start with the letter L. If you keep typing, add characters, AutoCAD LT will filter that command list to show you things that match the commands that you've typed. And the line is a pretty simple example, but I want to show you one of my favorites here, which has to do with the quick select command. If you type Q at the command line, you get a bunch of commands up here. One more, QS. QS, you get two choices. You get Q save and Q select. Now if I were to press enter right now, it would save the drawing because Q save is the highlighted command. But I don't need to use QS to do a save. I use Control S for that, like I'm sure most of you do. So instead, I'll use the arrow keys to choose Q select, quick select, which won't find anything here because there's no objects in this drawing. But quick select is a great way to find objects in your drawing based on common properties. But watch what happens when I type QS again. This time, Q select is highlighted. AutoCAD LT remembered that that was my choice the last time. This means I don't have to edit my PGP file to create a command shortcut for Q select. I can just type QS, wait half a beat, and press enter. Now some of you out there might be wondering if this autocomplete will slow you down because you say, well, I don't want to wait for the command names to pop up. And I tell you, it won't slow you down one bit. As fast as you can type, AutoCAD will still respond. There's a little bit of a delay built in to the command, so if I type fairly quickly REC and press enter, I'm immediately put into the rectangle command and I can start drawing. I didn't have to wait for the autocomplete to come up. Same thing like PL for polyline. I can start drawing right away there. Now if I don't remember for some reason, I want to know what else is available for PL, I can just wait and choose from the command list. I'm going to switch to a drawing that actually has some objects in it to show you a few other things. Just have a basic floor plan here. But what I want to show you is what happens when you click on an object in a drawing these days. You get the grips like you used to, but when you hover over a grip like I will on this arc, you can actually get a menu with all the options that are available for this drawing or for the object. So for this arc, I can stretch it or lengthen it right from that menu without having to go to any commands anywhere else. Same thing for lines. I can stretch or lengthen a line. If I click on one of those options and change my mind, I can press the Control key to cycle between the two different options. Or I can actually press the space bar and cycle through the regular grip editing modes, which in this case is move, rotate, scale, or mirror, or back to stretch, at which point I can hit Control again and go back to lengthen. I really love these multifunctional grips because they put the commands you need right in front of you. You don't need to go hunting around the user interface, no trying to remember where things may have moved between one release and the next. It's just right there, right in front of you. You've seen some of these already. I'm going to draw a little rectangle here because these should be familiar to you. You've seen them already in polylines and hatches. These were the first multifunctional grips where you could convert a polyline segment to an arc, or where you could delete a vertex from a polyline without having to edit it. There's a bunch of different objects that have these multifunctional grips. For example, up here on a dimension, I can use the multifunctional grips to, say, flip the arrow, or to add a continued dimension if I had something else I wanted to dimension to. The text, if I hover over that, I get a few different options. I can move the text with the dim line with a leader, just move the text, center it vertically, all these things real fast. Some of them used to be available in the right-click menu, and they're now available on these multifunctional grips. Not every grip is multifunctional. For example, if I go back and select my line, the middle grip, not multifunctional because there's no real modification action that you can do with the middle grip. You can just move it around as you would any other grip. Same thing with circles. There's only one thing you can do here. You can change the radius. So that's the only option you get. Multi-leaders have multifunctional grips too. You can add leaders. Add vertices in the leaders. The possibilities are quite endless. So if in your drafting habits you tend to start a command name first and then select your objects, I kind of suggest that you start selecting your objects first instead, and then either type in a command, select it from the ribbon, or grab it from one of the multifunctional grips. There's just so much that you can do these days with the grips, with the right-click menus, with the contextual user interfaces, that it really makes a lot more sense to select the object first and then try to start the command. So this next feature is something that was actually requested by the Augie user group. We like to fulfill the wishes that the Augie wishlist submits to us whenever we can. And one of those was the ability to nudge objects based on pixels instead of based on absolute distances. So if I grab this piece of text here, hold down the Control key, and press the arrow keys, you'll notice the text starts to move pretty slowly around the drawing. If I want more precision, more control over this, I can turn on the snap function down here in the status bar. When I turn snap on, hold down Control and press the arrow keys again. This time the text is constrained to move by the snap interval, not by any pixels. Something else you'll notice if you try this, that when you're not selecting a point, you still have free cursor movement even when snap is on. So right now snap is on, but I can still move the cursor anywhere I want. It's only when I need to select a point, like say I'm drawing a line, that you start to see the snap go into effect. The idea behind this is that it's that much easier to select the objects you need to work with without being constrained by the snap distance, but then when it comes time to enter distances, to help you be as precise as possible. The next thing I want to show you is in a different drawing over here. And this isn't exactly a new feature, but it's one that we have given greater prominence in AutoCAD LT 2012, and that's the group function. Groups now have their own panel up here on the ribbon, front and center on the Home tab. It means that with one click, you can start the group command, select your objects, and finish. You've now created a group. Doesn't look like much has changed, and in a lot of ways, not much has. Except when you hover over any of the objects in the group, the entire group is highlighted. And when you select it, you get a single grip in the center and this gray box around the outside called a bounding box. You can use that grip to move the entire group, to scale it, to rotate it, manipulate it as a unit to copy it into other places. So I could, for example, start the copy command and get the entire group all at once. I'll need to make some modifications to that one. How about I use that to rotate it? Rotate my group with its grip. There we go, that's better. Now let's say that I wanted to modify this group. Let's say I wanted to remove some objects from it. Fortunately, there's a button for that on the group panel. I can select the group, remove objects, take out the desks, for example, and now I have a much smaller group. If you want to change the relationship of items in the group, you can either explode it, which would go back to normal group objects, Or you can do something here on the expanded panel of the group tab, which is just turn off the bounding box. So if you turn off the bounding box, you still get to select all the group objects at once, but now they each have their own individual grips, so you can modify them one at a time. Or you can turn the bounding box on and move them as a whole again. So this is just an oldie but a goodie, and made even more useful by its new place on the ribbon. If you've got any questions about anything I'm talking about, be sure to send them on in. Try to get them answered for you here today. I want to talk briefly about a couple of new tabs that you may see here up on the AutoCAD LT ribbon. If you're one of those people who installed your new AutoCAD LT and turned the ribbon right off, I highly recommend that you give it another chance. Turn it back on, see what's there. It's more responsive than ever. It's got more tools than ever. You'd be really, I think, impressed at what it can do for you and your workflow. So this Plugins tab is brand new in AutoCAD LT 2012, and it's got something on it that we're calling the Content Explorer. We'll clear that search here. Content Explorer is basically like the next evolution of Design Center, if you're familiar with that. It lets you search on your own local computer, on your network, or on Autodesk Seek, which is our online repository for architectural, engineering, construction content from manufacturers as well as from your fellow AutoCAD users. The thing about Content Explorer is that it indexes your folders. It turns them into watched folders, which means that searches are almost instantaneous. Watch what happens when I type in door and press enter. Barely a blink of an eye, and I have 41 different kinds of blocks and different files that happen to have door in their name. Layers, whole bunches of layers with doors. Layouts, table styles, text, anything you want. Of course, you can filter the results that you see with the filter at the bottom of the content panel. You can also add and remove watched folders from your settings with the configuration button here. Don't really have time to go into that today, but I wanted to let you know that it's there and it's available. The other tab that I want to mention, at least briefly, is the Online tab. We're really excited about this one because Online contains tools that are built-in access to AutoCAD WS. If you haven't heard of AutoCAD WS, it's a new product from Autodesk. It's for online viewing, storage, and collaboration of your 2D DWG files. It's completely free to sign up. If you already have an account on the Autodesk discussion groups or Autodesk Labs, you already have a username. You can use that same username to sign into WS. Basically, you can take your drawings from your hard drive, upload a copy into the cloud, and then you have access to that file anywhere you go. Whether that's at a web browser on somebody else's computer, whether that's on your mobile device like your iPad, your iPhone, your iPod Touch, or your Android device, all of those have access to AutoCAD WS. So you can take your drawings on the go, you can make markups or short modifications, share them with other people so that you can see them in real time. Really exciting product, and I think has a lot of potential to be a really useful product for a lot of you out there. We'll come back to it if I have the time, but for now I wanted to show you that it's there and that it's available. The next new feature I want to show you is just a really fun update to an existing command, and that happens to be the array command. If you haven't seen these before in AutoCAD LT 2012, you may not know that arrays are now associative. That means that the relationships are maintained when you array objects. It knows that it's an array and that it has columns and rows and things. So in this plan, I've got another office building here and a conference room, and I would like to fill that conference room with tables. So I'm going to start the array command, and the first thing you'll notice is that there's no dialog box. I'm prompted immediately to select objects. So that's what I'll do. Now I'm asked to give a ballpark estimate as to the number of items. Let's say it's got 2 columns, 4 rows right now. Now I can set the spacing. Let's put it about here and be done. Now so far looks alright, right? It's not a whole lot different from what you might have seen in previous versions of AutoCAD LT. However, when I select one of the tables that I have arrayed. I get a whole bunch of grips on that array, and I get a contextual ribbon tab where I can edit the number of columns, the number of rows, the spacing, all sorts of stuff like that. So for example, I can use the contextual ribbon tab to change the columns to, let's say, 3, but now they don't fit in the conference room. So I will use the grip here. That's the wrong grip, sorry. Let's change the total column spacing. Let's get everybody inside the room. How'd that work? Not bad, right? Let's add another row. Oh, let's try it again. Add another row. Now we kind of run into the door, so let's change the spacing here. Too far. Yeah, that's better. Now just think, how long would that have taken me to do with the old array command? Minutes, right? And instead it's just a few seconds here, a few quick clicks. But we're not done yet. Let's say that I've changed my mind. I want 3 chairs at each table instead of 2. So on my contextual ribbon tab, I'm going to go to Edit Source, select one of the tables, say OK. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here because I want to move this chair a little bit to the left. You'll notice that the other shadow chairs are going with it. Move this chair to the center, and last, copy that to the other side. Finish my array, save changes, and when I zoom out, all my chairs, or all my tables, have 3 chairs. I'm going to take a quick break right now and see if I can answer one of these questions that has come in from the Facecast chat. Alright, what do we got here? Okay, we got a question coming in that asks, what are the main differences between AutoCAD LT 2011 and AutoCAD LT 2012? Well, I'm hoping to answer that with the webcast here today, but some of the biggest ones you've seen here are these associative array command, the inclusion of AutoCAD WS, autocomplete, and a couple more features that I'll get to in a minute that I like to call small but significant, because they may not be, earth-shattering features, but I think they'll, for a lot of people, they'll help you maintain your CAD standards more easily, and they'll make a big difference to your workflow. Okay, one more question in here. Can you create data links in AutoCAD LT 2012? Yes, you can. The question is about Excel data links. So the ability to link an Excel file directly into a table in AutoCAD LT 2012. Let me switch back to AutoCAD here and see if I can find a sample file that will help me show you how that works. Alright, so we're back in AutoCAD. And I'm actually going to go back to my blank drawing here. I'm going to go to the Insert tab and Data Link. We'll create a new data link, give it a name, and then it's going to ask me to browse for an Excel file. Now let's see if I can actually find one down here. Give me a second while I browse. There it is. All right. So it's asking me for a path type, full, relative, or no paths. These options should be familiar to you from the external references. Pick a sheet to link to. I only have one in this file. And I could choose to link the entire sheet. Sometimes you can go to a range. And let's see if I can get all the way down here and say OK. All right, so now I have a data link. But right now that's all I have. I don't have a table yet. So I'll go to the Annotate tab, create a table, and instead of starting from an empty table, I'm going to start from a data link. Haven't demoed this live in a while, so we'll see how this goes. Ah, good, there it is. So here's my table. It's got a header, It's got all these abbreviations, and right now you see it's really, really long. It's probably much longer than will actually fit on my sheet. So what I'll do instead is go down here and select the table. These, the green corners here tell me that it's a data link, as do the little padlock and the chain icon that appear next to it. But what I want here is to grab this table breaking grip. It says click and drag to set break height. I can actually just click once. And as I move the mouse up, you'll see it spills into different columns. So now I have 4 columns. This looks like much more like something that would actually fit on a sheet. If I change my mind, I can make some of the columns longer or shorter. It's a great little table feature here. All right, let's see if I can go back to my back to the array for a minute here, because there's something I want to show you that's actually unlike the rectangular array. This one is brand new in AutoCAD LT 2012. It's a brand new type of array. It's called a path array. Now, some of this, it's very similar to the measure command or the divide command, but what this does is it enables you to arrange objects along a path, like a polyline or a spline. Here I have a spline object that's just a basic little site plan, and I would like to lay out some bushes or shrubs along the edge of this line. So let's go to, under Array, I will choose Path Array. Select my objects, select a path curve, and now I can display how many objects I want. That looks about right. And I have a choice here too. Right now they are divided evenly along the path. For now that's okay. But watch what happens if I select the path array and change it in the contextual ribbon tab from divide to measure. Suddenly I get 2 more grips. And some of these options here in the contextual tab have opened up too, because now, because I'm measuring, I am setting a distance between objects, I can actually stretch them out based on the grips. There's another thing in the contextual ribbon tab that I want to show you here. We did edit source with our rectangular array, but I want to do replace items now. I don't want every single bush in this line of shrubs to be the same. So I'll select replace item. I'll replace it with this other little kind of tree here, give it a base point, and as I click, it gets replaced. It's still associative. I can still change the spacing of the entire array, and the new shrubs go along with it. And what's even neater is that if I select the spline and grip edit it, the array goes along with it too. The array is associated to its spline. So I can keep changing it all I want. You can also select individual items in an array. If you hold down Control, you'll notice the Control key keeps coming up on a fairly regular basis. Let's hold down Control. Let's say I got too many shrubs in here. I'm going to delete them. Then I can continue to modify the spline here. You notice that it behaves as if the objects were still here. Still leaves a space for them, but they're just not there right now. And if I change my mind and decide I want to put it back, I can use the last option up here for Reset Array. Alright, let me go back to my, turn on the camera here again, see if I can answer a few more questions for you. Alright, one of the questions that came in is, what can you tell us about AutoCAD LT for Mac? Now, I gotta tell you, we're so happy that there has been so much interest in AutoCAD for Mac and so many requests coming in for AutoCAD LT for Mac. I tell you, I hear this question everywhere I go. Everybody wants to know about AutoCAD LT for Mac. And I gotta tell you, every time I hear it, I pass the feedback along to our Mac team. It's the #1 most requested feature on the new the wiki site that we've set up so that you can send in your suggestions to the AutoCAD team. And all I can tell you right now is that we're listening. I pass that feedback on every chance I get, but that's all I can say for today. Let's see, another question that I got in yesterday was about the Sheet Set Manager. The Sheet Set Manager has been around in AutoCAD for a long time, but it's a brand new feature in AutoCAD LT 2012. We know that should make a lot of you very happy. Let me see if I can give you a quick demonstration on just one or two of the features that the Sheet Set Manager offers. The entire topic would take far more time than we have today. It's the subject of many 90-minute long AU classes, which you could access yourself at AU Online. But for now, let me switch back to AutoCAD and see if I can actually hold that thought. All right, back to AutoCAD. So you may have noticed that I opened up a couple files here from the Sheet Set Manager. It's a great place for me to keep my demos, so I can just pull up the files that I need. And just double click and there they are. But for somebody who's doing projects, you might need to work with more specific data. So actually I'm going to switch to a different. Yeah, this is a good one. All right, so if I right-click on a sheet name in my sheet set, I'm going to bring up rename and renumber, just to show you one of the powerful features available here. In this dialog, I can give the sheet a number so that I know that it's, in this case, it's number 10. I can change the title, I can change the layout name, and it's got fields in here that tell me what file that this sheet happens to be associated with, not only its name, but where it is. And if I were to make changes here, I could actually rename the layout to match the sheet title, or I could rename the drawing file if I needed to. So for example, I'm going to take out this, change the sheet title. This is now my rectangular array. I don't want to change the layout because I'm actually mostly working in model space. But let's say OK here. Go back to the Sheet Set Manager, and now that file name is rectangular array. Another neat feature in the Sheet Set Manager is the ability to insert a table consisting of all your sheet lists. So I'll say sheet lists, and right now I'll say OK. Alright, this is kind of a boring sheet list right now because it only has the file I clicked on. So let's see if we can fix that. I'll click on it again. Once again you see the little green triangles in the corner here that tell you it's a linked table, as well as the padlock and the chain. So I'm going to right click, when in doubt, right click, and under Sheet List Table I'm going to go to Edit Sheet List Table Settings. There's a tab here for subsets and sheets, and this tells you what you want to include in that particular list. So I'm going to go through and turn on a bunch of these. Say the first 10. Say OK. And now suddenly my sheet is updated, or my table is updated. And I'll just change the column width here so that they all fit on one line. And then stretch it up. There, now you can tell that this is a special table because it's got gray backgrounds behind all the text. That gray shading indicates a field. Now let's see, let's watch what happens if I go to rename some of these again. What do I want to do here? I want to rename this furniture plan. It can keep its number, but I want this to be, just call it the 8th floor furniture. Once again, I'm going to leave the layout and title alone for now. And while we're at it, let's go to the next file. Let's fix this one too. And maybe one more. All right. Go to my table, click on it again, right click, update sheet list table, and the 3 sheets that I renamed are now updated in the sheet set. This is just the tiniest taste of what the sheet set manager can do. It can also help you manage details. It can detail numbering, title blocks. The possibilities are almost literally endless. Change back to one more drawing here because I want to show you one of these, what I call the small but significant features. You see this leader right here in the center. It's got one line that is much longer than the other one, but the leader landing is attached to the bottom line. Now a lot of you out there, your standard, company standard probably is that your text must always be left justified, so you've probably seen leaders that look like this. We know that drives you nuts, so we've given you a way to fix that. I'm going to go to the Annotate tab, to the leader settings, the multi-leader style manager. Go to Modify, and under the Content tab, you'll see that there's an option down here to extend leader to text. It's brand new. It means when I say OK and close, that the leader goes all the way to the last line of the text, even if that line doesn't happen to be the longest in the note. One more before I go back to my camera here. Another tweak that we like to think you'll find helpful. This has to do with the fillet and chamfer commands. When I start the fillet command, let's set a radius in here. Let's say 2 right now. I'm going to select my first object, but before I select my second object, I'm just going to hover over it instead. And I immediately get a preview of what that fillet would look like. And I can tell before I click that it's way too big. So I need to change the radius to say, let's try 0.2. Hover over it again. That looks a little better, a little more realistic for this wall with windows in it. And so instead of having to go back and redo my information, I was able to make the change and do it right the first time. Alright, back to the camera one last time. Oh, because there's a couple new features in AutoCAD LT that I wanted to tell you about. These are former Express tools. They used to be part of the Express tools package that ships with AutoCAD. They are now included in the core program for both AutoCAD and AutoCAD LT. These are the nested copy feature and overkill, also known as delete duplicates, but I like calling it overkill. Nested copy lets you grab objects out of a block reference or an external reference, bring them straight into your drawing. And overkill, or delete duplicates, lets you eliminate redundant geometry so that you accidentally copied a floor plan on top of the identical floor plans and now you have 2 objects right on top of each other. Overkill lets you get rid of those and only keep 1 of each object type. So let's check on a couple more things here. And I think I'm actually over my time now, so I'm going to wrap that up for today. But thank you so much for coming. I hope you found it helpful, and feel free to keep sending your questions into the Facecast, and maybe we'll answer them on the blog or in the discussion groups later on. Thanks a lot.